Hey people, it's Ed Midsole Bud here, or you could say Ed Barry White Bud. I have a shoe review for you today, the Saucony Kinvara 14 VIZIPRO, one for the dark nights and the early mornings, when you need a bit of improved visibility, I suppose. But there is a lot more to discuss about this shoe, or perhaps less. Let's get to it. Thanks for watching, people. This is a shoe from Saucony sent over to me for review, but they're not vetting my views before my valued viewers, and they're certainly not paying me to make this video for you. We have a super light beast here in the Saucony Kinvara 14 VIZIPRO. This one's coming in at the mind-blowing weight of 234 grams or 8.3 ounces in my UK 11, US 12. I mean, that's lighter than many race shoes I've tested out in my size. That makes this a really interesting option, I reckon. Now, we have a Power Run midsole here. I'm measuring about 35 millimeters of heel stack and about 31 in the forefoot. There's a 4mm drop here, but one of the big things about this shoe is the very thick insole that you've got. It's a Power Run Plus insole. That makes up for quite a few millimeters of cushion actually in the shoe. So you've kind of got a more firm kind of shell to the midsole, then you've got that soft insole inside. So it's a little bit like, I suppose, one of those cup sole Jordan shoes. That insole itself weighs about 39 grams at 1.3 ounces, although this cushion here in the Power Run isn't the same as the one that's in the Kinvara Pro. Not sure what's going on there. There's different softnesses between the two. I got a standard 12 centimeters in the widest portion of the forefoot here and about 9 centimeters in the heel. It doesn't get any more standard than that. Softness ratings for the foams on screen right now. We'll start the review with the upper first. A very light mesh here in the Kinvara 14. Got a few suede hits here around the ankle and heel area. The tongue's only built up around the areas where the laces are actually going to provide a bit of pressure down on top of the foot. The rest of it's super breathable like the rest of the shoe. I think Saucony are overall trying to limit the mass in the Kinvara. It's the first time I've reviewed it, and to be honest with you, I think I've been missing out. I really like this shoe. It's one of the cheapest and lightest models that I found in my size. Laces, pretty much spot on in terms of length, not too much, not too little. Though lace loops on shoes really bug me. I do wonder how durable they're going to be. Is that going to kind of wear away over time? Are they going to snap? Is the shoe going to be completely useless after that? Now, I have to say, I did have to cinch the laces a fair amount here. Not that the upper's all that generous, I just found if I wanted a really good lock on top of that midsole that I had to cinch the laces in. Now, that VIZIPRO treatment that they've got on the shoe does remind me a little bit of the tongue of an Air Jordan 5. There's an almost paisley meets Tron type pattern, and it certainly looks the part and provides some significant visibility in low light conditions. When you get any form of light hit it, it lights up like a match. I found the shoe to be very flexible in terms of the upper materials, certainly through the vamp area, though you may find it a little bit on the narrow side if you have a wide foot. It's certainly reminiscent in feel to the Endorphin Speed 3, and I think there's a bit of Triumph 21 upper DNA in there too. Again, we have one of those sort of elastic pull tabs at the back. I found it comfortable enough on some daily outings so far, just slightly generous in terms of the upper sizing for me. You can have it all, but this one certainly is mega light, and that's a little bit down to the upper. I'll give the upper a 2.7 out of 3 after my initial runs. Before we get to the midsole, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up like. Really does help out. Dankeschön. Midsole. Midsole.
Midsole now.
Probably the only bit of the video where my voice is completely unaffected. Midsole wise, as I mentioned earlier, the foam here makes for the outer shell of the Kinvara a little bit firmer than you might expect for a 2023 shoe, but that's only really part of the story. That insole provides some really nice cushion, more along the lines of a Shawdrometer score of 20, which it has, which is well under the standard average softness. I think the Power Run stuff's pretty durable. It's going to stand the test of time. I didn't really see any real wear in that Power Run stuff in the Kinvara Pro. Though it's firmer in nature, it creates a really nice responsive launch pad for that insole. It's kind of like a lower stack Forever Run Nitro from Puma. More squash inside due to that thick insole, but it's like tempered and controlled. I happen to really like the 4mm drop here that we've got in the Kinvara 14. Stays out of the way really at a variety of different paces, and I didn't really find it all that demanding on the heel. And in terms of the Achilles, I can see this shoe working for those lighter framed runners who don't need a massive cushion and stack to get through their everyday runs. And I think that you could probably use this responsive beast if you're putting some faster paced sections into your longer session. I think the lightness here will no doubt appeal to some and not others. Perhaps if you do need a lot more cushion here, you're not going to get it in the Kinvara 14. I found it to be a bit of a breath of fresh air though, when you consider the lightness of the shoe. Comes in lighter than some of the super shoes like the Rocket X2. I mean, it's much lighter than the Alpha Fly 2 and like on par with the Vaporfly 3 or the Takumi Sen 8 or 9. I found it to be really stable, found it to be responsive. You can turn up the pace really easily, though it's just not going to be for everybody stack wise, certainly in 2023. Imagine if they had Power Run but then a Power Run PB core to the shoe. Now that would rock. For me, it's a great nimble banger with nothing else quite like it for day-to-day activities. A 2.8 out of 3 for the midsole. Outsole now. Outsole wise, I mean, we've only got a little bit of rubber to discuss here. It's a little bit of rubber here in the medial side and on the lateral heel. You got these wave-like ridges across the heel through to the forefoot and those two rubber sections there to provide a little bit of abrasion resistance to the high-use areas. The lateral side of the heel and the medial side of the toe box are covered. Other than that, you're just on the foam. I have found it super easy to clean this shoe at least. No jeweler's screwdrivers required. Just a good stiff brush. You can get any sort of remnants of your run out of the outsole. I did find that mud and grit clogs up the ridges a little bit, but again, it's not really a trail shoe. Grip seems to be on point, though we've had no significant wet weather to test it out so far. I have to be honest, Power Run does seem to work okay as a outsole material as well. It does remind me a little bit, I guess, of the construction of the Rincon from Hoka. Once you get a few miles into this stuff, it does start to take on its own sort of more coarse nature. I think this is one shoe I do need to get some more miles into in terms of outsole wear, just to give you a sort of more reasonable durability rating. I mean, thus far I found it great on corners and bends. I've been running through some quite slippery, sort of sloppy leaves and mud. Pretty good toe-off propulsion, it has to be said. That's all you can really wish for early doors, so not really got any major gripes about it so far. A 2.8 for the outsole after my initial runs. Value now. When you consider that this shoe retails for about £125 here in the UK, and you can certainly pick up some good deals on it at the moment. There's some discounted pairs around about £85 or £90. That gives you the same spec but without the reflective designs. I mean, that's quite a useful thing to have for the winter, I suppose. There is a lot of reflectivity here. Sometimes it's a bit of a bugbear of mine. You see that a shoe is supposedly advertised as being very reflective and safe. This one certainly is. It really does stand out. For the price and the weight of this one, it does make me wonder where the extra additional weight is coming from in the Kinvara Pro. I mean, if you like your daily shoes light and nimble with superb breathability and a no bells and whistles approach, then the Kinvara 14's no doubt going to appeal to you. I mean, you've probably already picked it up. Quality's on point here out the box. I'm not seeing any dodgy stitching or glue marks. Everything's put together well. Pretty much always get that with Saucony offerings, really. I've never had a bad one out the box. Adidas, Nike sometimes, but Saucony always seem to have a certain level of reliable quality. In the world of super shoes right now in 2023, a shoe like this can get overlooked a little bit, I suppose. Lower price, lower stack, low weight shoes, well, it's one of the best of that category, but there aren't many in that category anymore. In terms of value, I think it's one of the best I've reviewed on the channel in 2023. I'm going to give it a 2.8 out of 3 for value after my initial runs. There's very, very little that I dislike about this shoe, and at a price of 125 quid, I think that's pretty good. So if I've totaled the scores up correctly, that gives us an overall score of 11.1 out of 12 for the Kinvara 14 VIZIPRO after my initial runs. Got it in one. If you're a lighter built runner and you want something nice and responsive, this one's right up your street. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Kinvara range down in the comments. Quick musical interlude for you. I've been listening to this fantastic album called Hardware by Billy F. Gibbons. Any man that plays a Bo Diddley style guitar is high in my estimations. I've really been enjoying the initial track on the album, My Lucky Card, and Shuffle, Step and Slide, There's some fantastic Les Paul guitar sounds on here. I was drawn to them like a bee to nectar, or maybe like a bear to the honey that the bees make. There's a lot of grit here and a lot of big kind of thumping Les Paul sounds. There's certainly some low end there. I think Billy F. Gibbons has been using some Magnatone amplifiers recently. If you're a bit of a guitar head, you'll know what I'm talking about with those. They are painfully expensive, even for like one of the small 8-inch speaker combos. It's like a couple of grand or something, but they do make a magical sound, it has to be said. Some good production on this one as well. Billy sounds superb on the vocals too. Really gruff. There's some throaty sort of power there. Certainly with my sore throat at the moment, I'm not sure I could produce anything along those lines. If I try and raise it anything above this tone, there's just nothing there right now. I've probably been wondering where I am actually over the last few days. Normally try and get a video out, well, every day or every other day, but yeah, it's only just come back to a degree that I can speak. I'll have to check out some more of Billy F. Gibbons' solo stuff, but really enjoying this one called Hardware. Go and check it out. Thanks for tuning in, people. It's always appreciated. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, but also hit the bell of notifications. Give this video a thumbs up, like, and share it with your running buddies. My name's Eddbud, and I'll be seeing you